husband on a sleeping baby and a moist mouth, shall we? Hello and welcome to episode 1 of my podcast. I'm drinking tea, as I think is traditional to have a hot drink when you're doing a knitting podcast. It is in my I solemnly swear that I'm up to no good mug. And it will almost certainly be cold the next time I take a sip of it, I'm sure. Sorry, I'm just going to move this knotty muslin from behind me there. That's better. So yes, hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me. My name is Becky and I'm coming to you from Norwich in East Anglia, and yeah, I've been wanting to do a knitting podcast for quite a few weeks now, probably like a couple of months now, and I did Vlogmas, so if you watch my Vlogmas then you'll have seen there was quite a lot of knitting stuff in that, and that was me kind of trying to get used to talking about my knitting and talking to the camera. I have done these kind of things before, but it's been quite a long time, so I was just trying to get back into the habit of that, and I wanted to do Vlogmas to try and kind of get into the habit and see if I enjoyed doing it, and I really did enjoy doing it, and so I just want to do a bit more. I want to talk about my knitting more. I don't really know very many knitters in my area, so I don't have a lot of people to talk to about my knitting, so I would like to make knitting friends, and so I'm going to do this podcast and see what happens. So this one might be a little bit, you know, awkward just while I get used to it and figure out what kind of things I want to say and how the structure of the podcast is going to go. This is definitely not going to be my usual setup, but I've been putting it off long enough, and I was just like, I just need to do this now, and this was the free space. I've got a sleeping child, so I'm hoping that he will sleep. He's been asleep for like maybe 10-15 minutes, so I'm really hoping that he sleeps for like at least another 45 minutes and then we can talk. So yeah, I don't really know where to start. I might start with what I'm wearing. This is my Chuck pullover. I can't remember who it's by. I'm going to put like the details down here so that you know like the name of the designer and the actual name of the pattern if I get it wrong. So yeah, this is the Chuck pullover, and I really like this. I finished this probably back in October or November, and at first I was a bit like about it. Wasn't quite 100% sure that I liked it, but I have actually gotten a lot of wear out of it, particularly over kind of the festive season. I think it was perfect, having the shorter sleeves and being cropped. I think because I had it in my head that it was going to be really freezing cold and that I wasn't going to want the short sleeves and that I was going to want something to pull down, but I wear a lot of high-waisted skirts, and so this is perfect. And also particularly over Christmas and things like that, a lot of people get together. You get a lot of people in like smallish rooms and things like that. It gets hot, surprisingly warm, particularly like in our living room. When you get a couple of people in here in an evening, it gets quite warm. So it's been really nice to have this cooking, washing up, all those kind of things that you're doing a lot of over Christmas. It's been fantastic to have like no sleeves to push up and things like that. So I do wish that I had done a different cast off, so it's knit top down with some like interesting construction, which I was intimidated by at first, but it's amazing, so I really like this pattern. Yeah, so it's knit from the top down, so you cast off at the bottom, and I do wish that I had done a slightly stretchier bind off, because when I'm getting it on it's kind of a bit tight over my shoulders, and I'm scared that one day I'm going to be like putting it on or taking it off too quickly and I'm just going to like rip the yarn, because this is the Debbie Bliss yarn. Again, I'll put the name of it down here, but I think it looks like it is a single ply, so it can come apart. I didn't find that it was a problem while I was knitting it. It was like strong enough that it didn't come apart while I was knitting, but I could sort of pull, if I gave it a good tug, then it would come apart without needing scissors. So I'm just worried that that might happen. But yeah, we'll see. I really enjoyed knitting this. The thing that took me a long time to finish was picking up for the shoulder, for the sleeves. I've seen a couple of people who had done it and they'd ended up with like funny little lumpy sleeve cap, but the designer has a link to a technique which is actually like a totally logical technique to use for picking up stitches, and I did that, and it was perfect. So yeah, no complaints there. Really love it. Really nice and like cozy but not too hot. So yeah, perfect. And then this is a shawl that I knit quite a while ago, and I believe it's called something like Lunar Tide, and I really love it. It's like confusing my camera though. Really love it. It's knit from 4ply, but I have no idea what brand at all. But it is really nice. It's not like super soft, but it's not scratchy at all, so it's really good. And it's sort of went for a kind of like burnt orange and then a brown, which at the time was definitely not the kind of colours that I was wearing, but obviously something in me knew that these kind of colours were just waiting to come up in my wardrobe, and now this goes with pretty much everything in my wardrobe. And then it has this really nice lace bit on the edging. So yeah, with this one you knit the shawl, and then you cast off all the stitches, and then this is like an applied border, I think that's what it's called. So you knit across a row, and then you knit the last stitch on your needle with a picked up stitch from the shawl and apply it as you go along, which I really like actually as a method of adding a border. I quite like that. It means that I like the fact that the stitches on the border are going the opposite way to the stitches on the shawl. I don't know, I just like that. I think I would like it if maybe it was a little bit bigger. Maybe if I made it again I would just add a couple of extra stripes in, but I don't know. So there we go. So that is what I'm wearing that's handmade. Oh, I am wearing handmade socks as well, but they're boring and they're dirty. Fluff. Yeah, I had no idea what the yarn is, and the pattern is just whatever pattern is in my like sock knit kit. I have like a little notions pouch that I keep in my sock knitting project bag, and it's just there to like, I've got a pattern in there which is just there to refresh my memory on how to make a sock. So yeah, it's just whatever that is. I think it's like King Cole pattern or something like that. Right, I haven't really got anything to show you that I've finished recently, which is weird because I've definitely finished things recently. Finished a pair of socks recently, but they're in the wash. I'm not very prepared for today's podcast. So what else did I finish? I finished a hat for my son. No idea where that is. I think it's in my husband's coat pocket, but there we go. Maybe next time I'll be a bit more organised and I'll actually have things that I finished recently to show you. But we can talk about what I'm working on at the moment. The big project that I'm working on at the moment is a jumper. I cannot say the name of this jumper, so I'm just going to write it down here. But it is knit in Loki, which is what the like yarn, which is the yarn that the pictured finished object. Why can I not talk? The pattern picture project is knit in exactly the same colour. I was very unimaginative and was just like, I just need somebody to tell me what colours to buy, so I'm just going to buy the colours that the designers used. So I have done the sleeves, and I have done the body, and the sleeves was like really fun, really quick. I think it took me a day or 2 days to knit a sleeve, which was perfect. And then I hit the body and it's taken me weeks. It's just been like slogging. Body Island, I think, is what Kristen from Vine calls it. So yeah, these are the other colours. So there is some colour work on top. It's a really beautiful sweater and I am so excited for it to be done. I am now up to the armhole, so I think the next thing that I have to do is join the sleeves on, and then I guess I will be starting the colour work, which is very exciting but also very nerve-wracking because I have not done a lot of colour work at all and I'm really worried that I'm just going to mess it up. But this jumper is, I've got a bit of time before it needs to be done. I am going to be wearing this, hopefully, to Unravel, which is a yarn festival, craft festival in Farnham in February. I'm really excited. Me and my mum are going together and I've never really been to this kind of festival before. We're going down to London, or over to London, up to London, I don't know where it is. We're going to London on the Friday and we're gonna like do some like yarn shop crawling around London on Friday, and then we're just going to the to Unravel on the Saturday. So hopefully that's enough time for us to see everything, and then we're travelling back Saturday night. So hopefully this sweater will be finished in time for that, and hopefully it's not going to be too warm. I'm worried that it's going to be too warm, but I guess I could just not take a coat. I might just take like a light raincoat, although this is like, you know, proper sheepy wool, so it's probably got a little bit of waterproof to it anyway. But yeah, I'm probably not going to need a lot clothing wise, because I think this is going to be warm, and obviously then when we get into the venue I imagine that's going to be quite warm as well, and I don't want to be like carrying coats and all that kind of thing. Just need something that I can like stick in my rucksack and not worry about. What else am I knitting? I recently ripped a whole load of projects because I really kind of said to myself, I need to finish some projects. I need to get some things off my needles before I cast anything else on, because there was stuff that was just really languishing and it was bugging me. I don't mind having lots of projects on the go, but I wanted to get some of these things off the needles. I had a pair of socks on the needles that I had been knitting for 10 years. One sock was done and the second sock just needed, well, it needed casting on and knitting, but I just needed to figure out what size I'd made the first sock in, and I needed to figure out what size needles I'd knit them on. I figured that out, I started casting it on and I hated it, so I just got rid of them. I just ripped, well, I haven't ripped them out yet, but I'm just not going to cast on the second sock, and when I find something else to knit with that yarn I'm going to rip out the first sock. What else did I rip? I ripped a colour reflection shawl, which was a pain because all those like wrap and turn rows, the short row, that was a nightmare. And then a blanket. And then there was something else recently. I started knitting a pair of socks. I think it was my Christmas Eve cast on. If you follow me on Instagram you'll have seen my Christmas Eve cast on, and I really love the pattern and the yarn was pretty, but when I was knitting with the yarn I hated it. I really hated it. And I said to my mum, I was like, what do? Do I just keep knitting it and hope that it turns out okay, or do I rip it? And this yarn had been in my stash probably for about 10 years and I'd never reached for it, and the only reason I was reaching for it at this point was because I had gone into my stash and picked out some yarn that I really wanted to use while all my other yarn was going to be in storage. So I was like, here is the yarn I have at my, like, to use before I get all of my other yarn back. So I'd picked out some things that had been in my stash for a while to try and get them cleared out. So this yarn had never been reached for. I'd cast it on, I didn't like it, and so I was like, I'm just going to get rid of the yarn. I'm just going to de-stash the yarn. And my mum was basically like, gimme, I'll have it. So she has that yarn now, even though I'd like really talked it down. But it felt so good to just say goodbye to projects that I was not enjoying, and to yarn that was just not being reached for. It just felt freeing to just get rid of stuff that I clearly didn't need and clearly didn't want. And it means that then when I do reach for the newer yarn that I do like, I don't have the old yarn looking at me and making me feel guilty. So, and then there was a blanket, a baby blanket, which I ripped out because it had gone wrong and I didn't like it, blah blah blah. Same story. But this one I wanted to basically cast back on again straight away because I do want to make a baby blanket. We're expecting our second baby in June, so I wanted to make them a blanket. I didn't make one for my son, which there's a lot of mum guilt about, but this baby is going to get a baby blanket, so I thought, well, I'll just cast it on straight away, and then I've got plenty of time to knit it. So it is the Attic 24 Ripple blanket, and I've done it quite wide because I want it to be quite flexible. This should fit like a small single bed, I think, when they're a bit bigger, and then also be like fold-upable to go on a pushchair and things like that when they're small. And something that we learnt with my son was that things like this, if the baby needs to stay in the hospital for any reason, they won't let you have these kind of blankets in the NICU because the little fingers and little toes can get stuck. So I made sure that I cast on something that was going to be more appropriate. Touch wood, that's not going to happen this time. We're not going to need that, and we didn't need it for very long with my son at all. So, you know, it wasn't really a problem. He could use the blanket, but because he had a blanket that his granny made him. But I wanted to know that this blanket was going to be able to be used, whatever. So there we go. So this is Debbie Bliss 4-ply. And I've got some lovely colours, this kind of mauve colour which I really like, white, there is pink, green, I'm sure these have actually got names but I don't know what they are, yellow, and then this kind of baby blue. So really lovely. We don't know yet if we're having a boy or a girl. We'll find out. We are going to find out in a couple of weeks. But it doesn't bother me. They'll have pink and blue in their blanket no matter what. So yeah, those are kind of really what I'm working on. I do have a pair of socks on the go, but it's just a pair of socks. Doing an afterthought heel. So it's just a tube at the moment. And again, I'm not really in love with the yarn, but I've nearly finished the first sock. And it's really useful to just have something that I can knit in the car or whatever. So yeah, and then another, I guess it's just like a stash acquisition, but this was one of my Christmas presents from my husband's grandmother. A lot of yarn. This is going to be the Attic 24 Moorland blanket, and I am really excited. Me and my husband are originally from Derbyshire, so we had moorlands that we could look out of our window and we'd see them, and it was beautiful. And so when I saw this, there is like a little, I'm probably not going to be able to really see it in all of its glory, but when I saw Attic 24's blanket, I was just like, yes, that is like looking out of my window and seeing moorland, and it was just really nice. So I asked for this from her for Christmas, and yeah, I'm very excited to cast this on. I don't know when I'm going to do it. This is another of the like kits. She does these kits, Stylecraft Special DK, where you can go along to, where is it, Wool Warehouse, and just order all the colours that she used. This is another one of those, and this took me about 3 years to make, on and off. So this is probably going to be a similar one. I'm kind of waiting, we're thinking of getting a new bed, and we might get a bigger bed than we have. So I'm waiting before I cast on so that I can judge size based on that. But I don't know, I don't think there's enough in here to do a king size blanket. I think I would need a second pack, possibly even to do a double I would need a second pack, but I don't know. We'll find out. We shall see. So those are the things that I am really working on at the moment. I am itching to cast something else on, and I think once I have got the colour work going on the pullover, I'm going to need something else that's like TV knitting. I can do the colour work during the day when my son's napping or when he's at childcare, but I can't do it when he's here, and I can't do it when I'm just watching TV in the evening, so I would like something else, maybe like a simple shawl or something like that that is a bit more mind-numbing. Yeah, I think that's it for what I'm working on. Obviously I don't have anything to show you that I've recently finished, but I guess next time I can update you on my projects that I'm working on. I do have I kind of want to make this a bit of a feature part of the episode as well, called like RIP. So this would be where I would talk about things that I ripped out, but also items that were done and were going to be leaving my life. So that might be because I just don't wear them, or because they have become damaged and they can't be fixed. So that's what this is. These are a pair of socks that I knit. I tried to find out over 10 years ago, maybe like 15 years ago, I'm not sure. I knit them, I think I knit them while we were on holiday at some point, and they were always a little bit small for me, just a little bit, but they have now worn through at the heel. This yarn is from Baby Long Legs. She doesn't dye anymore, which is a shame because this yarn is beautiful, and the pair of socks that I finished recently that I think you'll have seen me knitting if you watch my Vlogmas, that is also by Baby Long Legs, and it's so soft and it's so plush and lovely, and the colours are so lovely, so it's really sad that she doesn't dye anymore. But and I love this colourway. It's just like fire, and it's just, yeah, I get as excited about it now. I mean, it's quite washed out now, but I get as excited about it now as I did when I first saw it in the skein at the whatever Fiver festival it was that I bought it from. I think this is one of those like quickest purchase to finished objects that was ever in my repertoire of knitting, and this is the second time these have died, but the first time they were resurrected. So what I did was, because I don't think there's any nylon in this, so I'd made them and then I was wearing them in shoes, and so they just wore through immediately. I think I wore them like twice and there was a hole in the back. So I tried to darn them, and I don't really know how to darn socks, so I basically just like sewed the hole together. So then there was like a big wodge, like a really thick bit that then just rubbed into my foot. So I thought, right, what I'll do is I will cut off the cuffs, because there was nothing wrong with the cuffs, and I will just re-knit the feet. And so I think that this one was possibly stayed as it was. So this is the original sock, but then this was the one I think that I reknit. If I look at it, the foot looks a little bit like newer yarn than the other one, because I had a little ball left of this after I'd finished the pair. So I just reknit the sock, and so then I had a pair of socks again, and I was really pleased that I had decided to do this, and you can't really tell. And then I just made them bed socks. So, and I guess I could do the same. I guess I could probably darn it and just continue to use them as bed socks. But like I said, they are a little bit small. And I don't know. I feel like sometimes things have served their time, and maybe it's just time for these socks to be retired. However, I do really love the yarn, and so what I'm trying to think of, the reason why they weren't just immediately thrown away, and I guess kind of like the part of the point of this section, is what can I do with these? I'm ready for them to not be socks anymore, so don't suggest that I darn the whole. I'm ready for them to become something else. So what could they become? Is there a way of me turning old socks into like wrist warmers? You know, maybe I could like pick up some stitches around here and cut off the heel and make them into mittens or something like that. You know, what can I do? Could I just cut the foot off and sew the end and make a wrist warmer? Any ideas for things I can do with old hand knit socks? Let me know down below, and we'll see what becomes of my lovely, very soft, very well loved fire socks. We'll see. Let's see, is it cold? Yes, pretty much. I might just boil a bit more hot water and top it up. Is that gross? I kind of feel like it's better than putting it in the microwave. I don't know. I also quickly want to mention my Etsy shop while I'm here. I haven't got a name for this podcast yet, and I'm really like this about what I want to call it. My Etsy shop is called Little Bean, and I sell, at the moment, I sell these little handmade Japanese knot bag style project bags. This is the only size I currently do. They are reversible, so you can use them either way. They are like mostly seamless. The only sort of place where there isn't a sort of more hidden seam is here, but it's kind of styled in so it doesn't look dreadful, in my opinion. So they are reversible. I would like to do slightly larger sizes, but just at the moment it's not going to happen, but hopefully in the next couple of weeks, month or so, I will be able to get a bit more time at my machine to start expanding the stock, the range in my shop. I think I only have 4 or 5 bags in stock, and these are perfect for little one skein projects, socks, things like that. So yeah, the name thing, yes. I don't know if I want to call the podcast Little Bean. At the moment there is nothing on my Etsy shop that is explicitly knitting related, and this podcast is going to be probably much heavier of a knitting podcast than anything else. I do sew and things like that, but the main thing that I do is knitting, and so knitting is probably what's going to be spoken about most often on here. I don't know if I want to name the name the podcast Little Bean to link it in with my shop, or whether I want to think of a different name. I don't know. So at the moment this is like the nameless podcast, so it's probably just going to be like titled podcast episode 1 and maybe eventually a name will come up, but maybe not. Maybe it will just be Becky's podcast. There we go. But yeah, that was like a really weird tangenty information-y bit just there, but yes, there is an Instagram account for my Etsy shop. It is Little Bean Sews, all one word, and then my Etsy shop is etsy.com/shop/Little Bean Sews. I'll put a link in the description below to both of those things, and yeah, the card currently says handmade accessories and garments. The garments are no longer available, it is just the bags for now. I started thinking about doing like custom children's clothes. It's the bags. I'm doing bags. so there we go. Yep, so if you like the look of these little bags, then please do head on over to my shop and check out what I have in stock, or favourite it, bookmark it, whatever, and keep your eye open for new stock that should be going in the next couple of months, once I get set back up again post Christmas, post all the other crazy things that's happening with us at the moment. So yeah, I think that's everything. I'm sure I'll probably turn the camera off and be like, oh, I was thinking I was going to talk about that, but maybe less is more. I think I've been recording for like half an hour. We've been good on sleeping baby front. I don't feel like I've like got a really dry mouth from talking a lot, so let's end on a high. Let's end on a sleeping baby and a moist mouth, shall we? So thank you very much for watching. I will leave links to my social medias and all those kind of things down below, and yeah, please comment down below and let me know what you think, and you know, if you want me to say moist less or something like that, let me know. But yeah, thank you for watching, and I will see you soon. Bye!